Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us his truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. According to scripture and prophecy, the elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites who will return back to the Most High during the last days to receive salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. And that's all according to prophecy. We back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And this lesson is going to be titled something like ICE is going to really make the 12 tribes feel the curses. ICE is going to really make the 12 tribes feel the curses. Now we know who ICE is. We know Trump's personal military force that he's using to snatch up so-called Latin American people from Mexico to Central and South America, also Native American people, and now they're beginning to target so-called blacks or Negro people in America. So that's who ICE is. You know, Trump's personal police military force. And what are the curses? Curses of Deuteronomy. And that's the thing. You know, some of our people proud. They think they're doing good for themselves. They feel like they're rising above other people. They feel like they're not oppressed as their fellow black or Mexican person. So they feel like they're doing good. Well, ICE and came and showed our people otherwise, that what you still under the curses. And we entering this time of Jacob's trouble. And Jacob's trouble is really the curses of Deuteronomy. When you take the curses of Deuteronomy and turn them up to the max, you get Jacob's trouble. Because in the curses of Deuteronomy, you know, the Lord will still have mercy on us, that we don't be completely destroyed. But see, Jacob's trouble is the curses of Deuteronomy with no mercy, except for the elect. So ICE is really showing who the 12 tribes of Israel are. You came over here, you got your citizenship, English, your second language. You doing better than people who was born in America, and you're not even from America, or you were born here, you a millionaire, you feel like you got some kind of status. Well, ICE gonna show you that you're still under the curses, and it's not just ICE. It's this whole Edomite oppressive system. You know, ICE, the National Guard, the military, the American injustice system. You know, the law enforcement system. You know, it's gonna show our people they're still under the curses. So, we're going to start here in Deuteronomy 28:15. But we see even over here to the right, which we're going to get some of this in the NLT, that the heading here is consequences of disobedience. So the consequences or the curses that the Lord will put on his people for being disobedient. We living out them curses. So we're going to get this real quick. We're going to get a quick video, jump back to the scriptures. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So simply for disobeying the voice of the Lord, we will be cursed as a people. So we're going to get some of these curses, but we're going to show a quick video real quick. Now check this out. And I showed this before. Brothers have showed this. This is ICE when they went into Chicago and went into a so-called black neighborhood looking for Latin gang members. But check this out.
We're getting new reports about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south.
So yeah, they say, by night, hundreds of ICE agents stormed an apartment building, knocked down fences, surrounded the building, flash grenades, bang grenades. But that's pretty much all the curses. And Esau, this ain't nothing new what ICE is doing. Whether they do it to the so-called Latin American people or the so-called African American, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, Esau the white man been doing this the whole time. Rather they call it ICE. Who's doing it? But they've been doing it, with their military, with their law enforcement. Esau been doing this. Not just to apartment buildings, but entire communities, entire countries, entire nations of people. Matter of fact, I'm going to jump there real quick. This is the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 2. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. So he oppresses people ranging from, individual persons to entire nations and entire countries of people. So what ICE is doing is nothing new. They've been doing it. They just doing it for another reason that they say, to crack down on crime, to crack down on illegal immigrants, and to enforce immigration laws. But the same thing they've been doing. It's just another creative way for them to find a way to oppress so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. But yeah, so we're going to play this again, and then we're going to get into the scriptures.
We're getting new reports about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the.
See that? Oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. But yeah, these are curses of Deuteronomy taking effect on another level here at the end. But let's get some more of the curses, showing, that ICE is really going to make the 12 tribes feel the curses. But not just ICE, this whole cashless digital society, mark of the beast system, military, police, UN troops, they're going to make the 12 tribes feel the curses turned up to the max. And then that would be the time called Jacob's trouble. So this is Deuteronomy 28. We're going to start at verse 49. It said, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. A nation is a group of people, which you now will call a race of people. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from the far end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And who's that eagle? It's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's why the eagle's on the back of the dollar, back of the quarter, on all types of military flags and American emblems. The eagle is the national bird of America. So that eagle is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And then how did ICE come into Chicago? They said they came from helicopters. So, like an eagle, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of Earth, because they came over here from Europe to North, South, Central America. As swift as the eagle flieth, he's the eagle. That's why he takes pride in his air force. He can fly overhead like an eagle and attack you from above. Well, yeah. So this nation that the Lord will send against us will be Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Why was he sent against us? For our disobedience. So now, when we come down here to the Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 52, it says, "He shall besiege thee in all thy gates." And what did it say in the video? Let me see if I can jump back to it. He said they busted down gates, knocked down doors. Let's get that.
Federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building.
See that? They busted down fences, knocked down doors, surrounded them with riot trucks. But see, he shall besiege thee in all thy gates. This would be another word, another way of saying a city. Because ancient cities in the ancient world, they had walls to surround the cities, and they had gates at the entrance, which was your exit and your entrance. So they shall besiege thee in all thy gates. That's our people being surrounded and besieged in the cities. It says, until thy high and fenced walls come down. Didn't he say they busted down fences and knocked down doors? When thou trustest throughout all thy land, he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land. So this happened in the Holy Land, but this happened in America. You trusted in this place. And what? Throughout the decades, we've been besieged, meaning surrounded and attacked by Esau's military over and over again. What you think Black Wall Street was about? Look what ICE is doing. They ain't just doing that to apartment buildings, to entire communities. They're going to do it to entire cities. They're going to besiege us in this entire country here in America. That's Isaiah 59:19. Enemy going to come in like a flood. That's also Luke 21:20. When you shall see Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem, the 12 tribes here in America, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, when you shall see Jerusalem compassed or surrounded by armies. So we being besieged all over again. Again, in all thy gates, throughout all thy land, which Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, thy God have given thee. So, whatever was given to us in America, that our people trust in, that's where we're going to be besieged. Now, let's look up this word besiege. We just want to show what it means. It pretty much means to be surrounded by force, by a military force. So similar words would be a blockade, to surround, to block off, to oppress, to torment, to afflict, to prey on. But let's get a definition. Surround a place with armed forces in order to capture or force its surrender, lay siege to. See that? To surround a place with armed forces in order to capture or force surrender. To crowd around, oppressively surround and harass. I showed the video. A so-called Mexican woman had a Mexican flag painted on her car. And ICE, what they do, they crowded around her oppressively, surrounded her vehicle, harassed her, and snatched her up out her vehicle. So ICE is serving as a reminder that we still under the curses here in America. You got boxers, well-known so-called Mexican boxers, being deported. You got superstars, athletes, of the Northern Kingdom, the Southern Kingdom as well, being harassed, being besieged by ICE Proving who the 12 tribes are, proving that you're still under the curses, proving the curses are still in effect, proving Jacob's trouble ain't happened yet. But yeah, he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, the cities, communities, apartment buildings, until thy high and fenced walls come down. Wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land, he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land here in America, which Yahweh shall have given thee, because his land was given to the northern kingdom first, in which some of the southern kingdom was over here as well. Let's see what this look like in the NLT, if it's read any simpler. And then we'll continue. No different. Well, let's get it anyway. They will attack your cities. So I say they shall besiege thee in the gates. The gates represent cities today. They will attack your cities, democratic cities, Chicago, Washington D.C., L.A. Where they at in Washington? It start with a P. I can't even remember what the hell it's called. Portland. Somewhere in the Northwest. They would attack your cities, democratic cities, so-called black or minority cities, until all the fortified walls in your land, the walls you trusted to protect you, are knocked down. Your apartment buildings, your gated communities, none of that stuff is going to protect you. They will attack all the towns, Black Wall Street, Roseville, or something. Look at all the so-called black towns that was mobbed and destroyed over the past couple centuries. They will attack all the towns in the land Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, your God, have given you. So this is a reminder that we're under the curses, and we might be here for a minute. I'm already taking longer than I thought. But that's why even one of the first ones we learned when coming into the truth, Deuteronomy 28:16, cursed shalt thou be in the city. And we curse in the cities, neighborhoods, slums, ghettos, trenches, no fresh food, only fast food, poor policing, police brutality, drugs, guns, violence, domestic violence, no school, low education, no health care or access to it. Cursed shall thou be in the city, cursed shall thou be in the field. In the way that people taught this, cursed in the cities, our people were cursed in the tobacco fields, sugarcane fields, cotton fields. People cursing the fields today. They will snatch another kingdom off the strawberry fields. And this has a deeper meaning that the city represents Jerusalem and the field represents the rest of the earth. So wherever we would be at in the earth, because we was cursed in Jerusalem first. That's why we was taken hostage out of our land and then scattered, and everywhere else we were cursed there too. Curse is still in effect. And then, coming down to the verse 25, it said, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. See that? We'll be smitten before our enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. Thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Now I'm going to see if I can jump to a quick video real quick to show an example of our people being smitten before their enemies, which that's what happened in Chicago. That was our people being smitten. You saw the white man coming up against us and having his way with us. That's us being smitten before our enemies. And who are your enemies? The people we were sold to, the people who oppress us, the people who've been trying to exterminate us. Bear with me one moment, looking for a quick video. Where is it? Yep, here we go. And then we're going to get this in the NLT while this video pull up. Well, matter of fact, we're going to get it now real quick. Bear with me one moment. Now check this out. This is us being spitting before our enemies. This is ICE agents coming at the so-called African American people.
You know, Trump coming at the niggas. He don't give a shit, man. All right, and where you YNs at? You know, with your insignificant asses, man. Y'all supposed to be out there defending your blocks, right? Guard or the police rolling your cities, then all of a sudden, now y'all acting scared, man. This is why you niggas are getting ready to get unalived in a massive way. And you know what? Good for you.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
And the nigga probably did something, man. All right? And then sooner or later, they gonna be using guns and ain't gonna be no talking.
He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen!
So see that? We will be besieged in the gates. We got that in verse 52. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten, meaning killed, destroyed, overthrown by our enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. See that? ICE came up in the store. Our people fled like roaches. And this has always been the case. See that? That's us being smitten before our enemies. Now let's get this in the NLT. The Lord will cause you to be defeated by your enemies. You will attack your enemies from one direction, but you will scatter from them in 7. You will be an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. And that's what you see, our people being an object of horror. Children snatched from their parents. Wives snatched away from their husbands. Etc., etc., and all the other horrific things that we hear about in the wind. That's us being an object of horror, being smitten or defeated before our enemies. And then when we come down to verse 28, it say this, thou shalt grope in noonday as one that gropeth in darkness. Grope meaning searching for a way out, searching for an escape. So this is a small example of somebody groping in the noonday. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, thou shalt only be oppressed. Regardless of how far we come in America over the last 300, 400, 500 years, with all the, constitutional rights, how our people has progressed as a people, gotten citizenship, learned English as a second language. We've accumulated wealth, status in this land. We're still being oppressed to this day. So we thought we were prospering, but ICE has shown us that we still oppressed even to this day. And it says, spoil you evermore, and no man shall save thee. Why ain't nobody stopping ICE? Why ain't nobody coming to defend us? Because the curses is still in effect. And Jacob's trouble, gonna turn the curses up to the max. You don't see this happening to no other nation of people because the Lord wasn't speaking to them in Deuteronomy 28. Because who was the Lord speaking to? Well, when we come to the book of Amos, chapter 3, hear the word that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So this is our people being punished for their disobedience. Sad as it may be, you can't be sad. The mindset we gotta have here at the end is better you than me. That's the only way you're gonna be able to cope with what happened with our people. Unless you be offended and bug out and be offended at the Lord and fall out the truth. Better them than me. Everybody had equal opportunity to turn back to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And not just in this lifetime, but throughout our previous incarnations. So, these people being punished for something they did not only in this lifetime, but other lifetimes. They rejected the Lord, and this is how it look when the Lord rejects you. And gotta mention, some of us will be in this very same situation, except if we are the elect, we're gonna be delivered out of it. But yeah, thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind man gropeth in the darkness. We shall not prosper in our ways, only be oppressed and spoiled evermore. So, see, ain't our people being oppressed and spoiled all in the noonday? Let me see how this worded in the NLT. Where the hell it go? 29. You will grope around in broad daylight like a blind person groping in the darkness. And see, as he struggled to get free, and our people try to run and search for a way out, they looking like a blind man running in the darkness. Don't know where to go or where to turn. But you will not find your way. You will only be oppressed and robbed continually. This are people being robbed. And no one will come save you. But see, this is us being cursed in the city. This is us being besieged in the gates. And then when we get this in verse, damn it, I got ahead of myself, but we're going to get this now anyway. Matter of fact, we're going to jump to the book of verse 32. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given into another people. So yeah, our sons and daughters, you know, during the times of hardcore slavery was given to the next slave master. How is this happening today? Your children taken from you and given to CPS. They put in the foster care system, juvenile detention centers. They put in orphanages. You know, that's our people, our sons and daughters being given into another people. And it's happening again today with ICE. You know, the state takes your sons and daughter, ICE takes them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. There should be no might in thine hand, meaning you won't have the power to save your own children. And this is it in the NLT. You will watch as your sons and daughters are taken away as slaves. And that's still happening to this day. You know, our people, the Lord said, my people are hid in prison houses. In prisons, they pretty much slavery is still in effect, or wherever they snatched up to. It said our sons and daughters will be taken away as slaves, not literal children, but our people altogether. Your heart will break for them, but you won't be able to help them. So yeah, you watch these things with a broken heart, hey, but it's nothing we can do. Hey, this is what happened when we turn our backs on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. So we really did this, our people did this to themselves. Yup, see that? Taken away as slaves. Now we're going to jump and get this in verse 28. It says, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. You know, people mad, upset, pissed off at Esau, Edom, the white man in his system. Blindness, meaning you don't see no end in sight. You have no hope. You see no light at the end of the tunnel. It says, in astonishment of heart. People out here with a broken heart at the things that's happening to our people, which in the NLT reads, the Lord will strike you with madness, blindness, and panic. And you see that so-called Northern Kingdom, so-called, the Northern Kingdom, so-called, Latinos, the Southern Kingdom, so-called blacks, making YouTube videos. You can see the fear in their heart. That's them being stricken with panic, madness, blindness. they uncertain on what to do or uncertain on what's going to happen next. They unsure. And this is verse 37. And doubt shall become an astonishment. And we in astonishment, the whole world is astonished at what's happening to our people. Everybody watching in shock. A proverb and a byword. Yeah, byword, they calling us Mexicans, illegals, minorities, immigrants, all these made up words. And what's the proverb? They came over here illegally. We commit most of the crime. You got Venezuelan gangs overtaking rural communities. All the lies they speak. That should become astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, especially here in America. Whether the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah shall lead thee. And let's get this in the NLT. You will become an object of horror. Ain't we an object of horror? And you got even other nations of people, even Edomites, speaking about, how our people are being wrongfully snatched up in the middle of the night, snatched up, from schools, grocery stores, people being abducted from the job site, harassed, abused, brutalized, Alcatraz concentration camps. We becoming an object of horror. We always have been, but it's becoming worse. An object of horror, ridicule. On the other hand, you got racist Edomites and proud Mexicans ridiculing other Mexicans that's getting snatched up by ICE. And look what happened to Charlie, you know who. See, everybody that ridicule our people, they day coming. It says, and mockery among all the nations which the Lord sends you. See that? So object of horror, ridicule, and mockery. Now, we're going to come down here to verse 50. It says, which I'm going to get verse 49 again. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the persons of the old, nor show favor to the young. And what happened in Chicago is a great example. Which, let's get this in the NLT real quick, and then we're going to get the video again. A fierce and heartless nation that shows no respect for the old and no pity for the young. That's what happened in Chicago. They showed no pity for the young. Don't worry, let's go back to it. Let's see what they did to them young children in Chicago. Matter of fact, you started from the beginning.
We're getting new reports about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them.
See that? Had the kids zip tied to one another.
He laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip.
See that? A nation of fierce countenance, which should not regard the persons of old, nor show favor to the young. In the NLT, it said, a fierce and heartless nation that shows no respect for the old, nor no pity for the young. So kids coming out underdressed, half naked, zip tying them, middle of the night, on a school night, probably cold out, guns in their face, uh, flash grenades, smoke grenades going off. That's that fierce nation. No respect for the old, nor show pity for the young.
The kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members, but U.S. citizens living in the building say they zip-tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members, but U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained too. The cops told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home.
Yeah, you see that? That's verse 52 that we got earlier. He shall besiege thee in all thy gates. Let's get that a statement again. I should have got it earlier, but let's get it again.
In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid.
See that? Knocked down fences and busted doors. He shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls come down. Busting down doors, not knocking down gates, besieging or surrounding the apartment complex. So what he did to Chicago, he's gonna do to the whole United States. But they zip tied children. Well, we know according to prophecy, he's gonna start exterminating the children. Guillotines, one to the head, whatever he feels like. But that's why the scriptures say that a nation of fierce countenance show no regard for the persons of old, nor show favor to the young. That's that nation of fierce countenance. He's gonna have no pity, show no mercy. Scriptures say they're gonna be like madmen, sparing none. Now, when we come here to verse 33, it says, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always. See that? It said, all thy labors, a nation which thou knowest not should eat up. So who got rich off our labor? Who's working the fields and the farms, picking all of the crops, all of the fruits and vegetables? Who's doing most of the construction here in America? And then an example that the labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Well, there was some Issacharites, so-called Mexicans, doing construction. I don't know if they's building a house or a building. They finished the house, and before they came down from off the roof, the people they was building for called ICE. Before they could come down off the top of the building. So what? They didn't have to pay them. See that? The fruit of thy land and all thy labors, all your work, construction, farming, crop picking, shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. So that was an example to them eating up the labor of our people, which they do on many different levels. And let's see this in the NLT. A foreign nation you have never heard about will eat the crops you work so hard to grow. Okay, it's all right. You only suffer under constant oppression and harsh treatment. This is what would happen to the 12 tribes. So ICE is reminding us that we Israelites, when you look at it through the spirit. But what the Lord said, 2/3 of our people not going to be mindful of the scourges, but what they will only revolt more and more. And this is verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. It's stories out there of ICE agents, fake ICE agents, snatching up women and girls. And what you think happening to them? This has always happened to our women of our nation, when dealing with Esau, the white man. Thou shalt build a house, thou shalt not dwell therein. See that? Issachar built that house and then didn't get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They didn't get paid. Not to mention most of these houses that Issachar built, they can't afford them anyway. See that? Thou shalt build a house and thou shalt not dwell therein. So what? Esau the white man would eat up the labor of our people. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shall not gather the grapes thereof. See that? Let's get this in the NLT. You will be engaged to a woman, but another man will sleep with her. You will build a house, but someone else will live there. You will plant a vineyard, but you will never enjoy its fruit. So that's another example of Esau the white man eating the fruit of our labor. And now this is backfiring on them because now that they're deporting the northern kingdom, now there's really nobody to gather the grapes. There's really nobody to gather the strawberries. Because you Americans ain't fit for the job. You too lazy for the job. Now you got white farmers suffering, losing, a lot of money. Because they ain't got no Issacharites to pick their vegetables and fruits. So now that's why the Lord said the curses would then begin to turn on our enemies. See, they got so used to us picking their fruits and vegetables, they didn't think about that when they voted for Trump to deport us. Well, they should have thought about who's gonna do all the work. Now you got fruits and crops and vegetables going bad. You got construction projects, buildings, apartments, houses that's not being built no more. Roads and highways and bridges that's not being built no more. You got grass not being cut. And this is verse 34. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. See that? Our people will be mad for the things they see happening to our people. Let's get it in the NLT. You will go mad because all of the tragedy you see around you. And the tragedy against who? The 12 tribes. I've been showing this since the beginning of the year. Trump's war on brown skinned people. No, this is Trump's war on Israelite people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. And what's happening to our people is a tragedy, but it's only going to get worse. The most tragic part ain't happened yet, because 2/3 of our people about to be deleted. Now we're going to get this in 45 and 46. It say, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. All the curses that we read, that was only a few. And the curses we did hit, we hit surface level. All these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. You see that? You thought coming into America and getting your citizenship that the curses would stop following you. You thought you born here as a so-called black man, you being an athlete or getting a scholarship and becoming a scholar and getting a career, that the curses will stop following you. You still a nigga to these white people. So-called Mexicans, you still a spick. Native Americans, you still an Indian. You still a savage. Our people, you still three-fifths of a human. Or however they feel about us. That hasn't changed, despite the progress our people think they've made. All these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. They will follow us from generation to generation. They will follow you to America, outside of America. You're still going to experience the curses. So yeah, and overtake thee. None we can do about it till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. So this is all our fault. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever. So the curses will be a sign that we the people in this book. We will read the curses and be like, you know what? This is only happening to our people. So what ICE, the Lord is hitting It's accomplishing multiple things with ICE. He's putting judgment on the 2/3 of our people. Some of the elect may be mindful of the scourges and turn back to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But ICE, that's another sign, another reminder of who we are, being the Lord's people. A sign and a wonder that the curses are still upon us. So we must be the people written in this book. Get this in the NLT. These horrors, the curses, what ICE is doing, will serve as a sign and a warning among you and your descendants forever. So yeah, this is a sign and a warning for our people, what ICE is doing. Turn back to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Because it be saying, turn back to Yahweh Shayada. And that's really what it's all about. It's simple as that. It get no more simple than that. Turn to Yahweh Shai or da, like my cousin be saying. Now, we're going to get this in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, maybe 72. Well, I'm going to start at verse 70. Up, 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. That's what ICE, the military, the National Guard, they shall take away certain of you. Because you notice only certain people being besieged and snatched up and targeted. They shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. For this shall be in every place and in the next cities. See that? Every place. So there's nowhere to go. The curse is going to follow. Jacob's trouble is going to follow. There should be every place and in the next cities. A great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Who is commanded to fear the Lord and keep his commandments? You Israelites. Whether you fear him or not. The great insurrection is going to be upon our people. And it's already happening. It's going to get worse. They shall be like madmen, sparing none. Everybody in Chicago was spared. Because I don't think not one body was dropped. Well, there's going to be cases when ICE and the National Guard, UN troops, in which they go to, different communities, different apartment buildings, and nobody make it out alive. Everybody get put down. Should be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. So when you read this, it's clearly telling you that this is going to be happening to a certain people. And look who it's happening to already. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. That's been happening. You're getting cast out of your house, getting cast out of your job, out of school, out the grocery store. But wait, ICE gonna start kicking down people's doors. That's coming next. Then they shall be known who are my chosen. How you gonna know who the chosen is? Because, this stuff is gonna be happening mainly to a certain group of people. It's gonna be chaos and madness and deletions everywhere. But, among all the troubles, it's gonna be clear that the target is a certain people, the 12 tribes. Then they shall be known who are my chosen. And that's being made known right now by what ICE is doing and targeting our people. Pretty much enforcing the curses on our people. That's what ICE is doing. So even ICE, what they doing, they making it be known now who are the chosen. The chosen people, at least. But there is a chosen of the chosen. Then shall it be known who are my chosen. So it's obvious who the Israelites are. Look who ICE is targeting, which we've been saying the whole time. Even the Edomite created this. So how Trump came in office with all these executive orders and sending ICE at the certain groups of people, that made it known who the chosen people are. It says they shall be tried as gold in the fire. That's the elect. So that's how they're going to know who the elect are. Because they're going to go through the fire and become that gold. They're going to make it through. They're going to endure. So, yep, I think that's the lesson. ICE. What did I title it? ICE is going to make the 12 tribes really feel the curses, or feel the curses even harder, something like that. So yeah, Lord willing, this was informative, edifying. Till next time, Shalom.